Hello, everyone. Today is Tuesday, December 23rd, 2025. This is week 8, day 2 of India Evening and Weekend Platoon. Today is a continuation of SQL schema design. Today we're going to be working on a blog. I was thinking, is there anything to review before we get started? And I don't think there is. You guys covered restaurant yesterday. Today we're going to cover something slightly different blog, but the concepts are exactly the same. Um, if you go to today's lesson is based on BlogDB. So if we open BlogDB, we get this, right? What do you notice off the bat here? That you get a what? Today's lesson is SQL schema design blog, and it says, hey, we're going to be using BlogDB. We're going to be using this blog database. So when I go to the actual lesson, this is BlogDB. This is a README. What do you notice right off the bat? You get a what?
A dummy database?
It's not a dummy database. It is a real database. You get a what? What's this?
Script.
Yeah, you get a startup script. You get a bash script. So if you look in here, right, it's going to go look somewhat similar to what we've written before. Okay, so everyone can do this with me. Let's go ahead and copy this because this is going to be the basis for our lesson today. This is just an empty folder that I just created like 5 minutes ago. I'm just going to clone it, right? I'm going to clone it. Boom. Awesome. I'm going to cd into blog db, and I'm here. This is where everyone should have done. So, and then I can kind of walk through this. I look at my Docker file. Okay, this is the image, Postgres 15, and it's copying some kind of init file into the container. Okay, cool. I do have an init file, and then the init file, it looks like it creates a database named blog. It connects to it, and then it has one, two, three. It has how many tables? Just three, right? Creates three tables in this blog database. Cool. And then it gives me a bunch of dummy data, it looks like. Okay, cool. Awesome. Then this is a README that we just looked at. This is some kind of script. Yeah, some SQL script. Okay, cool. And this is the setup script. Awesome. How do I start this database? According to my lesson, we're going to walk through designing and implementing the database schema for this blog. I already copied the blog DB. How do I get started here in my terminal? We're going to go over this lesson, but they gave me a database with pre-populated data. So how do I run it so I can query against it?
Just run the change the setup sh to executable, and
Sure.
then you need to, I don't know, is your init SQL filled in or is it empty?
It's got a bunch of stuff in it. Yeah.
I think just run the setup.sh
All right.
after you change it to executable.
I'm going to run it. It looks like it is executable. I'll run it. All right. How do I check if I have the right data here?
/DT.
/DT. There you go. It says I have a blog user or comment in a post. And if I wanted to, I could select star from blog user. And yeah, it looks like I got a bunch of users. Cool. That works. I can get out of here. Says Q. There we go. Awesome. So I have these pre-populated data, but you're going to notice actually, I set this up earlier, but what's wrong with this setup.sh file? If you were running it for the very first time, this is actually incomplete. When you go in here and you clone it, you're not going to be able to do this because what is wrong with this setup.sh file? What's missing here? I ran it because I already had it running, right? I already had it loaded up. But if you
What's
ran
the
this straight from the git clone, it's going to fail. Why?
there's no Docker build?
Yeah, it's not Docker build here, right? It gives you this script combines several commands that you'll likely run together. Yeah, that's all well and good. But what's the first thing we need to do? We need to build the Docker image. I don't see that command here, right? So here you have to get something like Docker build blog db, right? So you build the Docker image. Okay, I built the Docker image. What's the next step? You've run the Docker container, right? Is that right? That looks right. Then I'm going to sleep to give Postgres time to get ready. And then what's the next step here? This step looks right-ish, but there's a big problem with this one. What are we missing here? Line 9 is wrong. Line 9 is failing to do what? You've written scripts like this before, so someone here has to know. I'm telling you right where the error is in line 9. We had all of this, we have all of this data, right, that was populated, right? So you're missing what? You need to populate your database, right? And then you can go in and exec into it again, right? You need to seed your data. That's what you're missing. So that this is incomplete. So when you try to run this just from the scratch, when you git clone and you try to run it, if you haven't run this before, um, properly set up your setup script, it's incomplete. I don't know if they intended to do that or not, but just keep that in mind. All right. So once you have this, this is good to go. All righty. So we have this, and I could run it again, right? It's not gonna. If I ran it again, what error do you think I would get?
An error error stating that's already running?
Yeah, probably. What container already exists?
PGDB?
Yeah, this container name already exists. How do we fix this? Anyone know? Did I give you that command before? It's in the Slack channel, right? So when you download this, when you git clone this and are playing with it, feel free to look at that start script, the bash script that I left a couple days ago, and then just fix this setup, right? What you really want to do is check the image if it exists, or remove the images, remove the Docker containers, and then run everything cleanly again. That's the easiest way to do it. But you guys have all those commands in the Slack channel. Feel free to just modify it as you see fit. That's the way I would do it, so I could just iterate on this a lot quicker. All right, so cool. This works. So let's go to SQL schema design, right? So you have three tables here: blog user, post, and comment. A blog user can make how many posts?
Many
Yeah, and a post can have many what?
comments.
Yes. And there can be many comments on one post, or there can be many comments on many different kinds of posts, right? Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
All right, let's do a recap of the relationships. Now we'll think about how they should be connected. A post should be made by a single blog user, and a blog user can make many posts, a one-to-many relationship. A comment should be made by a single blog user, and a blog user can make many comments, so one to many. A comment can belong to a single post, and a post can have many comments. Again, another one to many. And then a comment can belong to a comment can belong to a single comment. I don't know what they meant to do that. A comment can have many comments, one to many. What does this mean? Disregard this one. I think this is a typo. I think they meant to say a disregard this one. This is confusing. I'll put in a pull request after this. Um, so let's look at how we would implement this in SQL. Create table blog user, serial primary key, name, varchar, email, also varchar, not null. What does this first table tell you about the table blog user? It tells you a couple different things. Let's see if we can flush them out. What does it tell you? It tells you a couple of things. I just want you to think about this. We create a table called blog user. It tells you a couple different things. What does it tell you? Got to tell you something, guys. Anyone, what does this tell you? If you just look at this table, just tell me a couple things that just, if I just gave you this piece of code, we know what? That the table blog user, tell me a couple things about this code. Anything. What is true based on just these four little lines?
That blog user has email and a name, and the name has a character limit of 100. Email has a character limit of 255.
Perfect. It tells you those two things. Can anyone tell me what else does it tell you? Because it tells you a couple more things. Keep going. That was great, whoever answered that. Tell me more. Because there's more information here.
The email's required.
Yes, email is required. What else does it tell you? Great. Nice job, Dan. That name is what? Doesn't look like name is required. It looks like email is required. Okay, cool. Now we're getting a little bit more information. What else does it tell you? This is the hard one. I think you've got all the easy ones. There's something else that this tells you.
The database primary key is the ID.
Yeah, it does tell you that as well. What else? Anything else this a small snippet of code tells you?
That name doesn't require anything.
Yeah, name is not even required, it looks like. You could insert into this database. But we already covered that. It also tells you that two people can have the same what?
Names.
Same email.
Name and email. Why? Why does it tell you that?
None of them are unique.
Yeah, none of them are unique. And there are no checks on them for anything. Right? So right now you're learning how to write these tables, right? But in reality, databases that support really big applications, right? There's a lot of conditions to every single one of their attributes. Right? So I just asked you to tell me everything you know based on these four little lines, right? And we eventually figured out. We figured out, hey, email is required. We figured out that name isn't. We figured out that ID is a primary key. Okay. We also then figured out that, hey, there could possibly be two people that use the same email and the same name. There's nothing within our database that blocks that, which would be confusing as hell, right? Okay, so this little bit actually tells us a lot of information, right? Keep that in mind, right? Let's look at table. Let's look at post, sorry. Let's look at the post table, right? ID primary key, right? It tells us, what does this line tells us right here? User ID, integer, references, blog post user. What does this line tell us?
That user ID is a number that has a relationship with blog user ID.
Yeah, it references blog users. So every post is going to have, right, some kind of user, an author, right? Someone wrote that post, right? So it's a reference to blog user ID. So there's some kind of relationship. I think sometimes people get caught up in understanding exactly what the right relationship is. And to me, that's second. Understanding that there is a relationship or there is a relationship missing is the first thing you need to figure out. And then figuring out what that relationship is the second thing. Does everyone understand that? There was two or three occasions when I was going through people's breakout rooms, was it the last week or so, where I would look at people's tables and I'd ask, what's the relationship between table A and table B, right? And they wouldn't be able to tell me. And the reason why they wouldn't be able to tell me, and the reason why I asked that is because when I just look at their code, I know that there's no relationship. There's no references to other tables. How are they connected? You need to be able to read that at this point. I could just look at your code and tell you what the relationship are, what the relationship is. Even if I'm still a little fuzzy, if it's a one-to-many or a many-to-many, if I'm still a little fuzzy on that, it's okay. But right now, you should be at a point where you look at these tables being created and understand that there are references to other tables, and you can kind of figure out that there is a relationship somehow. Yes? And you should be able to kind of figure out those little things that I'm asking you right now. Right? Hey, this is not unique. You can have more than one user. Okay, cool. Stuff like that. Because this little bit of code actually gives you a lot of information. All right, so here we know that the post is attached to some blog user somehow, right? Via ID. And then we have that every post must have a title. It can't be null, right? And the text can be almost what? it has to be a text, but it can almost be anything, right? It doesn't seem to be like a character limit or unique or anything like that, right? It can be just a string, it looks like. Okay, cool. So then we get comment, right? We get another serial primary key. Comment can just be a text, okay. But then the comment has this. The comment was written by who?
A blog user.
Yeah, by some blog user, right? I know that this comment, right, points to someone wrote it. And we can track it down based on blog user ID. Okay. And then post ID, right, references post. What does this tell you? What does this line tell you about a comment being left on a post?
We're storing the comments by post in the post table.
No, not quite. I need someone to read this. That was a valiant effort, right? What is this referencing, right? So there's a post and then people start commenting on it, right? And one of the things in the comment table is this post ID. What's this a reference to? Let me give you an example. Hopefully this is not too abstract. I make a post on Facebook with my hamburger and it says Guillermo loves hamburgers, right? That's my post. And then I have a bunch of my friends comment on it. My I love hamburgers post in the database is not I love hamburgers, right? That post is a what? How is it being identified in a database?
By a post ID.
Yeah, by a post ID, right? It doesn't matter what the text is. It happens to be I love hamburgers, right? But that post has a unique post ID that points to that specific post, nothing else. Then it has to be unique because there can be many comments. All right. And that's what you have here. You have a post ID. It's referencing, right, the post that was made, right? Then you have this right here, parent comment ID, right? What is this telling you? This is not referencing the post necessarily, but it's referencing what?
Is it a reply of a comment?
It's not the reply of the comment. It's kind of referencing your comment, right? Hey, this is the idea of my comment on this post. Because that's also unique, right? The post that I made, I love hamburgers, is unique. But all of the comments on that post also have to be unique. Does everyone understand that? And they all have to have some kind of unique ID because let's say on my post, I love hamburgers, there's 30 comments. And if one of my friends went in there and posted, Guillermo, you suck, stop posting pictures of hamburgers, and then regretted it 2 minutes later, they could go in there and do what to that post?
Delete the whole thing.
Yeah, not delete the whole thing, delete their what?
Comment.
Yeah, delete their comment, right? And the database needs to know, hey, that comment has a specific ID that's unique that references that post from that user. You can delete it. It's because we showed a couple days ago. Remember, if you don't have admin privileges, the Slack example that I showed you, I can delete your messages because I have admin privileges, but you can't delete other people's messages, just yours, right? Whereas I'm the admin of the channel, I can delete everything. Right. So all that's just conditional logic based on this idea, right? That these posts have unique IDs and all their comments have unique IDs as well. Pretty much everything being created has to have a unique ID. That's the only way that you can reference it. Because my friend's comment on my post about hamburgers, about stop posting pictures of hamburgers, is one of one on that platform, right? Yes? Think about that. All right. So then we get into some kind of optional check here, right? Where it says post ID is not null and parent comment ID is null, or post ID is null and parent comment ID is null, right? This is just checking for null values in the IDs, right? They can't be null. Something has to exist. If not, it's not a valid comment, right? Because comments can't be made by nobody, right? It has to be, you ever go to a Facebook page where you're not logged in? You can't comment on any of the posts, right? You guys ever get that? You're like searching for something and you find something on Facebook and then you try to comment on it. It forces you to what?
Log in.
Forces you to log in. They can't just let anyone post, right? Because they can't attribute that comment to anybody. Sometimes you can, depending on what the platform is, right? Depending on what the platform is, right? But something like Facebook won't let you do that. They need to attribute all those posts, all those comments, all those likes, right, to somebody. So you must log in. It must be assigned to a user. All right, cool. So these are three little tables and their relationships. So queries, I want to run this query right here in my database. I know my database is running. How do I get into my database?
PSQL, then the name of the database.
PSQL. And what's the name of my database?
Blog_DB.
Blog_DB. That didn't work.
You have to do the Docker exec.
Docker exec. Why didn't that work?
Because you're not in the DB yet. You're not in the Docker yet.
You're not in the Docker container. Super important thing. I'm not in the Docker container. Let me get into the Docker container. Okay, inside the Docker container. Now your command might work. PSQL blog DB. I'm inside the Docker container. How do I go
You
into it
had
now?
blod, B-O-U.
Specify the port.
Blog? What command do I need here? I can use anything up here. Can I use this?
Run.
Huh?
Docker run.
No, I'm already in Docker.
Oh, sorry.
What am I trying to do here? I'm inside the Docker container. The only thing left to do is what?
Connect
Connect to what?
the database.
Okay, how do I do it?
I think it's just connect and then the name of the
Like this?
I think so. That's what I'm looking at in the script.
I got into the Docker container. I'm just looking for the command to get into my database. I should be able to exec into it. No, this command. No.
You're already inside the Docker, so you don't need to.
Okay. So what's the command then?
Docker exec the dash it, the container name bash, or well, you're already in the bash. Never mind.
You want me to exit and do it all in one? I can do whatever you need me to do. I just need the exact command.
I put it in the chat that start the PSQL or Postgres.
This, all right, so this will work. PSQL H localhost port log. All right, that's it. That works. And I can easily just look at the init log user. Let me check, make sure everything's in. Well, at least some things are in there. It's like star from blog user. Okay, yeah, that looks right. Cool. All right, so now I wanted to run this command, and I should get count 7, name Jimbo. Yep, that looks right. Awesome. Let's piece together this command here, this query. What is the name of the user with the most posts? What is the name of the user with the most posts? Select count, which is an aggregation, right? You're looking for the user, blog username from blog user, join post on post user ID, blog user ID, group by blog username, ordered by count, descending, limit 1. Is there an easier way to do this?
Isn't there like a max function?
Is there?
I don't know. I'm not an SQL expert.
This is what we're going to do. We're going to piecemeal this. Let me stop sharing. Boom. Boom. Let me pause this right here. Actually, no. Oh, sorry, guys. All right, we're going to pause right there. So I put the pseudocode in the Slack channel, and let's go over it. This is what is the name of the user with the most posts, right? This is how I wrote it. You could have wrote it a little different. Find all users in the database. This is just from blog user or from star. Select star from what? Just select star from blog user, right? Those are all the users. Yes. So I just shortened it from blog user. Find all users in the database. Okay. Now you need to connect each user to the post they have written. Join post on post user ID to blog user ID. In English, tell me what line 7 does. In English, what does line 7 do?
It references one ID with the other.
Yeah, but you're just saying words. I need it in English. One ID with another is nothing.
It matches one ID with the other. So like the post ID is.
No, I just want it in English. Don't try to get too sequely. I typically want things in English because it tells me you understand what you're doing, right? This syntax, I don't know if you've noticed, but I forget the syntax half the time I'm teaching you. But that's okay, right? Conceptually, I understand what it is and I can find what I'm looking for. It's knowing what you're doing that's hard. So in English, what is line 7?
So make a column, call it post, and it should be populated with the data from user ID and blog user ID where it matches.
Yes, but it connects what to what? Give it to me in English.
The post table to the blog user table.
Yes, but in English. You all that is right. You've said everything right, but just in English. It tells me what from what. It tells me something really important. It tells me who, what.
Which blog user posted what?
Yes. That's all line 7 does. It tells me, hey, which blog users wrote these posts? Is that not what it does? Now, does it create the columns and link the tables? Yes. But in mere English terms, it just tells me, hey, all these posts were written by that dude or those people. Yes? That's what it does conceptually. Awesome. Good. So number 3, it says count how many posts belong to each user. So select count, right, and blog user by name. So here you're just getting a count of all the posts all the users have. Yes? Number 4, compare the counts of everyone who has the most. Now we're going to group all the users by their respective counts in descending order, which if you return 1, the highest one's going to be on top. You could have done something else like, hey, return just row 1, knowing that, hey, it's in descending order, so the one that has the most will be at the top. Something like that. You notice that these SQL commands don't have what? I just typed that on line 4. I didn't write in any what into this.
Conditions?
I didn't write any conditions. That is true. I didn't write any conditions, but this right here, I didn't write any what? The way that I wrote it, or the way that the instructor wrote it. It's highlighted. That's known as a what?
Alias.
Yeah, I didn't add any aliases. You could have. Right? Notice that I wrote all the names out. Post, blog user, right? You could have chosen blog user as B, you know, or anything like that. But I didn't. Just left that as is, or post as P, or whatever, and I didn't. But that's fine. Another way to write it. So that's kind of how you should be thinking about this. Start really simple. I would just write it in English, figure out what you're trying to connect, and then see if you can write the SQL for it. And you can piecemeal it, right? You can just write it into small pieces and then see how it fits together. Make sense? Cool. Alrighty. So we did this one. The top 3 comments, I'm not going to bore you and give you the SQL query, but it's pretty similar. Let me see what else is different here. Select count. What are the top 3 comments with the most comments? Let's break it down line by line. Or do you want to do this in English first? What would be easier for everyone?
I think in English first
In
for me.
English first? Okay, let's see if we can run through this relatively fast here. Boom. And what's the question? This. All right. How do we try to break this down? We'll do this one together, and I'll leave you alone to get started in the assignment. How do we want to start pseudocoding it? Actually, I don't know how many steps there are going to be. I'm just writing it. How do we want to start? Just focus. If this is too confusing, this is the entire SQL query. This is the entire query, right? But we're trying to just answer really this question in English. What are the top 3 comments with the most comments? Right? What are they trying to say here? Comments typically can have comments, right? There can be posts, and posts have comments. But when someone comments, oh no, the Bears suck, and then someone comments on their comment, that's a comment of a comment. Yes? Okay, so this does exist. So how do we make sense of this? What's the first thing we kind of need to look at?
So it would be the comment ID first.
Yes, but you're thinking sequely. You're thinking,
gotta
hey, let me
find-
look at the comment ID. We're not there yet. We can do that when we're looking just at this, right? But I'm asking you to pseudocode it in English.
First, you got to figure out which comment has it, like which one is the most, which ones are the top 3 to begin with.
But you're trying to do too much at once. Yes, you're on the right track, right? But you're aggregating already, right? Before you aggregate, you need to do what? You can't aggregate unless you have done what first.
You have to look at the data first.
Yeah, you have to find them, right? So what do we have to find? Let's just run through the pseudocode here. What do you have to find here? That's step 1. Find all the what?
Comments, who has the
There you
most
go.
comment? Yeah.
Just no. You said find who has the most comments. What are you doing there? You're doing a couple different things. Break down what you said. You're finding and aggregating. We don't want to do that. We want to do one thing at a time. So what's the thing that we're going to do first?
Find comments.
Find all the comments. Yes? Awesome. Step 2.
It says join comment. So you're going to look at which comments have comments.
Look for what? That was pretty close.
You're going to look for comments that have replies or comments.
Yeah, right. You're going to look for comments that have comments and connect them. Cool. Next one.
Yeah.
Now that we found all the comments and now we found the comments that have comments, awesome. Now we have found them. Now we can do what? The step you were trying to do at the same time.
We're matching them with the user IDs.
No, just jumping ahead. We found all the comments. Now we have found all the comments, right, that have comments on them. Now we can do what?
Count them.
Yes. Now we can count what? Count the comments on the comments, or something easier to understand,
Replies.
count the replies on each
Yeah.
comment, right? There you go. Cool. And then we're going to do what?
Return the highest one.
No, it's asking you to return, I think, the 3 highest, but
Oh,
that would
okay.
be the last step, return 3 highest.
Put them in order.
Yes, but you can't put them in order. When you're putting them in order, you're doing what to them? They're all
Aggregated.
Yeah, they're all aggregated, but after you're done aggregating, it starts with a C, you need to do what? You found them, you aggregated them, you counted them, and then you do what to them?
Compile them.
No, you compare them.
Compare them, sure.
Compare all the counts and order them. That's it. So this entire thing is just this in English, roughly. If you can understand this, then this, even if you don't remember off the top of the dome, you can just figure out and look up. But this, understanding this is arguably to me more important because this, guys, this right here, you're going to forget. I have to Google it or
No, that was really
ChatGPT, the syntax, right? Like I'm
that
not going to remember this stuff. I don't, right? But I know how to do this. So if I know how to do this, then this will come.
was really helpful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So I would advise you to kind of learn how to do this because eventually this will come, right? Because when you find like an example, this one, look for the comments that have comments and connect them. You're okay. So you need to join something or you need to group something, and you know that you need to find the comments or the parents of the comments and then figure out their relationship and piece it together. Cool. And remember, when you write this, you don't write this all in one shebang, right? You start with a little select star from whatever, and then you add a little, connect comment ID, right? With parent comment ID, right? And then you add a count, right? And then you add a little bit more to aggregate, and then you just return the 3 highs in that order. Cool. All right, what are the 3 comments with the most comments? This last one's actually pretty beastly. I kind of don't want to go through it because there's really going to be no need for you to use this for now. So this is just an advanced query. These are the only shown, well, it's only shown to terrify you or inspire you, whatever. So who wrote the comment with the most comments? This is awfully similar to this one, right? So conceptual question. This is a big, scary SQL query that we're not going to go over really unless you absolutely want to. But I do want to compare this question to this question. What are the top 3 comments with the most comments? How does that compare to who wrote the comment with the most comments?
You're assigning the replies with a user ID.
Okay, that was you're on the right track, but what's the only difference here in English? There's really kind of only one. What are the top 3 comments with the most comments? And this one is just going one step further and it's saying, hey, who wrote the comment with the most comments? So what's the only conceptual difference here?
You want the user ID.
You want the user ID of the person that wrote the comment with the most comments. That's it. There's nothing different about it. Here, yes, you return 3, but that's almost irrelevant here. It's a footnote compared to what the actual difference between those 2 queries are. Notice I didn't ask you to write any SQL or anything. I just asked you to think about it. What is the only difference? Make sense?
Clear as mud.
Okay. Good stuff. Here's a query if you really wanted to go into it. But your assignment today is Instagram. So here, you actually, just like the other assignment, you actually don't get any information. You get this little README, but then you go into the files and they're completely empty, right? Your init SQL is empty, your Docker file is empty, your setup sh script is empty, right? But this README, I'm going to go ahead and just start it. So you can start it with me if you would like. Instagram schema. I can just do it here. What is this? /Q, I think. That's it. Cool. I am going to back out here and I'm just going to clone this. This is Instagram, I believe. Yep. And I'm going to CD into Instagram. Cool. All right, and this will be your assignment. You're going to notice a Docker file empty, init empty, README empty, setup empty. Let's look at the assignment. Instagram schema. Figure out what entities you'll need and what relationship they should have. Some possibilities include user, post, comment, like, follow. Visualize the schema using quick database diagrams or something similar if you would like. Implement the schema following the model of cars database. Let's just look at that again, just in case we forgot. It says implement the schema following the model of cars database. Okay, never mind. The link's broken. I'll try to get you the right link and post it in the Slack channel. All right. 2 or 3 rows of dummy data per table is fine. If you don't want to make up the data yourself, you can try this. I imagine Makaru. You can get fake data from Makaru if you would like. Mess with it if you haven't. It's actually pretty useful. When you have the Postgres container running with your database, write a few queries against it to make sure everything is working. Sounds simple enough. I'm actually just going to copy this, right? And I'm going to take it here. Well, I have it in my README, so I guess I don't need to copy it. What would be your first, if you were given this assignment, you are about to be given this assignment in like 2 minutes, what would you do first?
Get the container running.
Yeah, we could. Docker file is empty, so where do you want to get some of the code?
Probably from the blog database
Yeah,
file.
why not? Yeah, this blog database has everything that we need. So we have an init file, and we use Postgres 15. Cool. I'm going to go in here. That's enough to get my Docker container going. Cool. The init doesn't have anything, right? Now what? Now what? Gents, peeps.
Don't you need to populate the setup shell to execute into it? So the
Yep.
same thing from the blog database.
Okay. Let's take this. Yeah. I'm going to take this. My init doesn't have anything. But instead of blog, I am going to call it Instagram. And I connect to Instagram. Instagram. And instead of blog user, I'm going to call them Instagram user. Instagram user. That looks pretty good to me.
Snake case.
Huh?
Snake case. I was just busting balls, sorry.
Instagram. Okay, yeah, that's fine. I thought I misspelled it, which I misspell all the time. All right, so now we have at least one table. We have Instagram user, right? And we have a Docker file. Sweet. I have a README that wasn't particularly useful. Now what? What's the next step from here? I'm asking you what you would do. You guys are doing good. This is exactly what I would do. But what's the next step for my Instagram application or my Instagram database? So I have the Docker file. That's good to go. I have a little bit of init. I have one table. That's enough to start for sure. README doesn't help me in any way, really. And then I have a setup as sh file. What would be the next step? It would be,
The setup script.
yeah, the setup script. How do I want to start it?
I would just copy the same one from the previous example. The what was it, blog database?
Log this.
Yep.
All
And
right.
then go through and change all the relevant names.
Let's do the image. I'm going to call it Instagram DB. And here it's going to be Instagram Instagram DB, cool, log Instagram DB. Actually, I could have just done this, right click, change all occurrences, Instagram DB. Cool. And here, this would be just Instagram and Instagram. Here. That look right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks pretty good. But I want to make it better. How do I make this better?
You can add the Docker remove at the top.
Yeah, that would be awesome because I'm going to run this a bunch of times. I actually just created one table. I'm going to have to modify this a bunch. I created one table with no data at all. So what do I want at the top? It's just a what?
Docker remove force and then the container name.
Yep, Docker remove force and my container name, let's call it runner. That's fine. Docker remove runner. And this is just what? Stop and remove the container if it exists.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Now, I would also like to remove the image though. So remove any image built if it exists. That was an awkward way to write this, right? But I definitely want to just remove any image. What's it? Instagram DB. It's the name of the image. All right. So now I have line 2. Hey, remove any container name runner if it exists. I want you to remove any built image, right? That's called Instagram DB. Awesome. Now what do I want to do? I want to build a new Instagram. I forgot the period there. Cool. And then run the Docker container. And this looks pretty good. Will this work?
Should.
Should we try it? All right, let's give it a shot. I am Instagram. I'm in the right spot. Yep, it looks like I'm going to run my setup sh. This looks like all right, let's look at the error message here. What's my error message here?
It's around your Docker exec lines.
It's one of my Docker exec lines. How do you know that?
Because the OCI runtime.
Okay, cool. So how would I go about debugging this? So the error is what, line 15 or 17?
Would you just comment one of them out to see if it would function if one or the other was commented out?
Is it because do 15 and 17 need to flip?
No, that looks right. Look at line 11. What's my name or what my runner called?
Runner.
No, not according to line 11.
Yeah, so that needs changed to runner.
Let's try that again. What's the issue here?
It looks like the user.
Okay, I'm not going to fix this for you, but I'm going to walk through every line so that way you have an answer, and I can go ahead and copy this and put it in the Slack channel. I'm going to walk through every single one of the lines, okay? And you tell me where you see the error. Okay. We're going to stop and remove any container if it exists, if it's called runner. Yes? We're going to find any image that's titled Instagram DB and remove it
Right
if it
there.
exists.
Instagram is misspelled.
In
Line 5.
Yep. Yes. That work?
It should. Everything else looks like it
Okay.
matches up.
Okay. I'm going to continue going. I'm not going to fix it for you, but I'll drop this in the Slack channel. Again, I'm going to keep going. All right. I'm going to remove the image built if it exists, if it's titled Instagram DB, just the Docker image. Then I'm going to rebuild an image called Instagram DB at root of the Docker container. Then I'm going to launch a Docker container named runner, right, with this password, grabbing the image that is called Instagram DB, right? Then I'm going to wait 3 seconds and give Postgres time to load. And here I am going to exec into what? Line 15.
The container.
Container named what?
Instagram.
Is that what the name of my container is?
Oh. Instagram.
It's the name of the container's runner, right? Docker run dash dash name runner.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, let me start that again. I am going to launch, right, the container named runner, right? Then I'm going to exec into, I'm going to exec into what? Into the container with this specific image, right, on this specific port with the user Postgres, right, on the database Instagram, which is right, and I can cross-check it with my init file, Instagram, that is right, and this is called standard int, this little caret sign. It says, hey, run this SQL file, right, when you execute this command, right, and this one tells me, hey, leave me in the terminal of the database Instagram, right? Let me run it again and check if that works. Right? I'm going to copy this. Not quite, still having an exec problem. The problem is line 15 or 16. Give me 1 second, but you're really, oh, sorry. Give me 1 second. Okay, dropped it in the Slack channel. You guys are really close. You're like missing one typo. But there's the start script for you that you would run. And after you add that one table, add the second table, right? And then maybe add a little bit of data, 2 or 3 users, and then move on from there. Questions. The order that we follow just now is actually the order I would follow, right? Because this is going to make your development process way easier. Definitely after you get the Docker up with just like one table, the setup script is definitely the next thing, because this is going to make everything else easier. Then you just run .setup, right? Anytime you make any changes to your data, and that does it for you. Yes? And I think, I can't remember who it was. There was a couple of you guys that actually, here's a tip, actually, I didn't mention this earlier, but at the end of your init SQL, you can run select commands. So run select commands on on your tables that you just created. So when you run the script, it actually runs a select command as well. That way you can see all the output in your terminal and say, hey, okay, cool, everything works like it's supposed to, right? And you'll see data, or you at the very least see the tables, right? And I would add that at the end. Anytime you make an addition, like an additional table, just add a little bit to that file and have it run that file every time. That way you have the output in your terminal and you don't have to go in there and select star, whatever, make sure your table's there, your data got updated properly. Make sense? Gives you a lot of terminal output, but it's like an easy way to develop quickly. Actually, give me 1 second. I don't know if give me 1 second. I'm going to show you one thing. Okay, this is kind of, I'll show you anyway. I don't know if this is helpful, but I thought about it earlier and I figured I might share this with you. Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. This has nothing to do with today's lesson, right? But based on everything that you know, and the fact that you've built APIs before and you've built front ends before, tell me what I'm showing you here. It's okay if you don't know exactly what it is, but what does this kind of look like to you? This is JavaScript, by the way.
So it's a constant that you've named user ID, and it's pulling the query.id from whatever was passed in as rec. So request, I'm guessing.
Yeah, this is an interaction between what and what, you think? I showed you a very small piece, but this kind of shows you the flow between what and what.
The database and the backend.
Yeah, an API with the database, but ultimately also the front end, right? So somewhere on the front end, right, there's a request to which route?
API user.
API user, almost like someone's logging in, right? So on the front end, someone's logging in, it's making a request to an API, and the API is querying what kind of database? A SQL database, right? That tells you, that kind of gives it away on line 12. It's querying some kind of SQL database, right, with user ID, and then it's eventually going to return. It looks like some kind of user profile right there on line 15, right? Response JSON result rows.0. Like it's going to return some kind of user information, right? The only reason I show you this to kind of show you exactly what you're working towards. Right now, you're making silly little queries to a database, right? But to kind of really understand how this all fits together in the end is imagine this little piece right here. Some users requesting, and I just did API user, but this can be information about anything, not just the user, right? So there's some kind of front end request to an API route that queries the database. And this is roughly what it looks like. Make sense? So remember when I told you, right? Nobody writes raw SQL. You'll have software You have frameworks that make all the queries for you. You just have to know how to configure it. So you won't actually have to write NoSQL. So there'll be another layer of abstraction that does it for you. But yeah, I just wanted to show you that. I thought that was an easy way to kind of understand ultimately what this looks like. Okay, cool. Sorry, I went on forever right there. Let's definitely take a 27-minute break. No, we weren't. Now we're recording. Sorry about that. We're going over the 5 tables of the Instagram database. Thank you for reminding me. Sorry about that. What are we missing here on line 23? The relationship of what?
Itself.
Yeah, so what would you call this? You can kind of call it whatever you want, but let's give like a relatively descriptive name. Some kind of comment ID, right? Let's just do parent comment ID.
Parent.
Integer reference. And here's the tricky part. What does it reference?
Would be the comment ID.
Yep. Comment ID. That's the hardest one there. To understand that is it possible, and this is a tough question here, is it possible a comment does not have a parent comment ID?
Say that only if it didn't have any replies, if it was just a
Yeah,
comment.
yeah, then it wouldn't have one. Because it's just a comment on a post. No one made a comment on your comment. So therefore, it wouldn't have a parent comment ID. I don't want you to get flustered by that, but I just want you to think about that, right? Some comments have parent comment IDs and some don't. Correct? Does everyone understand that? If you don't understand that, think about it for a little bit and come back to it. All right, let's go to post like here. Post like, we're missing 3 things. What's the first thing we're missing? Someone likes something. We need their what?
User ID.
Their
Yeah, we need their user ID. Instagram user, their ID, right? So someone likes something, so we need their user ID, and we also need what? They liked something. We need that something's what?
the post ID.
Post ID. They had to have liked something in the. Now, I almost did Instagram. It's post, right? Post ID, right? Because they liked something, right? So tell me what that something is. I think I'm missing commas here. Doop. Doop. This one, I don't even know if I can make a comment here. No, I'll figure it out. We're going to come back to that one. We're going to come back to line 30. We're missing one, but let's just finish this up with follow. Follow here is also 3 things. What's the first thing? If someone's following someone, what do we need to know?
Both
Who
of
they're
their
gonna
user
follow.
ID.
Both of their users. I know what you're getting at, so let's break it down into follower ID. Follower ID. Integer references. And this reference is Instagram user ID. And the other thing, that's the follower ID. We also need to know that someone can follow someone, but the person that you follow can also follow a lot of people or just one person, right? So we have the follower ID. What would you call the second thing? I don't even know if this is right. Follow we? Is that right?
It's following ing. You follow, you have followers and
All right.
you're following people.
Okay. Follower and then following. That's even better. References. And this is also what? An Instagram user, right? Because all users on Instagram are on that platform, right? Mixing up my commas here. That's okay. Instagram user. Okay, cool. So that's it. Those are the 5 tables for Instagram. If you had any version of this, regardless of what the names were, this is pretty close to accurate. There's only one thing that I would add here to get a minimum viable solution here. On line 30 and 37, these are similar. What am I missing? Did anyone get this far, or anyone can think of what could possibly go here? We got the meat and potatoes of it all. But one thing is actually very interesting here that we need for both post like and follow.
Account.
It's not account because account would just be
Sorry, I
someone's account, right? So that would just be
Sorry, I
Instagram
meant,
user.
like the number of likes. I meant,
We're not counting.
right. Okay.
Now, could you have a count somewhere? Yes, you could. But that gets a little bit more complicated, so I don't want to jump into that right now. But yes, there is a count liker, like I think on Facebook, right? They give you the number of likes or something. What else could we possibly be missing here? Something has to be unique in post, like, or follow. What are they? So I already gave it to you. Something has to be unique. What things have to be unique in both post, like, and follow?
Their primary keys.
They're already unique.
Right.
Any ideas? Is this how you guys ended right here? This is it. If you got this far, this is actually pretty good. If you didn't get the last piece, that's fine. Notice this is not really comprehensive, right? I did like the easiest version. There's a bunch of not nulls I could have included here. There's a couple other checks I could have done, but just bare bones answer it. This gets you there. But for right now, that's good. I would like to add a unique here. What 2 IDs here would be cool if they were unique?
They should both be unique
Yes. Yeah. Keep going.
so that you can like one post one time.
That's it. That's the answer. Say that again. Try to explain to everybody why that's important.
Because if that wasn't unique, someone could like the same post a million times. And that's not what they want the design to be like.
What happens if you like something and then you like it again, typically?
You
It
unlike it.
unlikes.
You unlike it, right? So it's just a Boolean underneath, right? So this prevents that from happening, right? You can only like it once. We'll get into the logic of if you click it again, right? It's just a Boolean, right? It either turns into a 0 or a 1 or false into a true or into something or null. right? All those have the same impact, and the idea that it nullifies the action, right? So there you go. You can only like things once, because then you would rack up someone's likes, right? Someone kept clicking. Same thing with views. Does anyone know how YouTube videos get views? Not the complicated answer, but just a simple answer. Like if you watch the same YouTube video 1,000 times, how many that counts as how many views for you? Or for the video, sorry.
Oh, it should just be one.
Yeah, it should be one, right? If you view the same video 1,000 times, that's not 1,000 views for that video. It's just one.
No, just one.
Can anyone tell me why?
Because they monetize this.
Yeah, they monetize it and they keep track via what? Does anyone know by chance?
Unique views.
Yeah, unique views, right? But they typically know that how?
Session ID.
It's your session ID and your IP. It's a combination of probably a couple of things. I don't know the YouTube algorithm, but yeah, unique views are monetized. Now, how many times people watch it, right? Because if I had a video out there and it was just monetized on views with no checks on it, I could watch my own video on repeat and monetize it, right? But it's just me. Does that make sense? Any questions about that or this table of five? These five tables, sorry. If you didn't get line 30 and 30 and 37, that's okay. And again, this is an incomplete, right? I don't have a bunch of not nulls. I could have checked a couple different things, right? Notice here, that name is optional. Nothing's going to happen if it's null, which is not good because then I don't have a name. But that's okay. For right now, this is pretty good. Boom. That's it. I can stop sharing. Any last minute questions about blog or Instagram post? I'm sure you guys are tired, ready for the holidays. Yes? No questions. Okay, I will leave you with one last thing. If you haven't seen Thomas's post on the Slack channel, go view it because he brought up something that we missed earlier on in the lesson that's actually really important. See if you can look through his post, look through my answer, and see if it makes sense to you. That's actually pretty important. All right, guys, have happy holidays. Get some rest. There is class, I believe, Friday, so don't miss it. Class Friday.